Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Grant is next. 2 great hours from the icon himself. I'll be here tomorrow. Now I'm more fired up than ever. 9 p.m. tonight Eastern, The Hannity Show. I'll be there, and my head will be polished. This is Mark Levin.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
And let's be heard. Hello, everyone. This is Bob Grant, sitting in for Mark Levin. Mark left early. I'm going to tell you why in just a second or so. And not to worry, he'll be back at his regular time tomorrow for his full 3 hours that he spends with you. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you why I'm here, if you don't know already. Mark is going to appear on the Sean Hannity program on the Fox News Network. And speaking of Mark, don't forget, he has a Virginia book signing on Saturday. That's right. Join him Saturday at 11 a.m. at Tyson's Corner Mall in Vienna, Virginia, where he will be signing copies of his new book, Liberty and Tyranny, a Conservative Manifesto. And you can go to www.marklevinshow.com for more information. And don't forget to watch Mark on Hannity tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Fox News channel. And you heard the title of that book, didn't you? Liberty and Tyranny. Well, I've not had an opportunity to read it yet, but that's got to be a must-read for every single one of us. I understand that Mark lays out the case for why we must resist this onslaught of statists who want to put us in shackles. And I think you can see ample evidence of what they're up to, and the Obama administration has only been in office slightly over 2 months. Can you believe it? It was on January 20th that Barack Obama gave the oath and said he would defend the Constitution. But the Constitution really doesn't mean anything to these people, and it's painfully obvious in everything they do. For example, first of all, let me tell you, I am no defender of AIG. I have no love for AIG. I want to make that very clear. But it was agreed, contracts were signed, people like Chris Dodd apparently knew all about it, that these 73 or so individuals would receive bonuses. It's become a dirty word overnight, a bonus, oh. But guess what? These same politicians who knew that this was in the deal, and I'm talking about the deal for the bailout, that TARP money, T-A-R-P money, would in part go to these bonuses. As a matter of fact, you know, it seems obscene for me to say this, but $165 to $175 million is a mere pittance when you consider the trillions that are involved in the total deal. Trillions. You know, there was a time not too long ago when we would say billion on the radio, and we'd say, that's B as in Boston, so that people wouldn't confuse the word with million. But now billion is nothing. And trillion, well, people are using the word trillion almost casually. But at the end of the day, who is going to pay for all of this, if anybody's left standing? That's right, fellow sucker, you, me, the rest of the taxpayers. Sometimes I wonder, if we were to do a true census and ask this question, and we have a census coming up next year, don't we, Rob Emanuel? We have a census coming up next year, 2010. Why? Because the Constitution says every 10 years we have to have a census. So that's about the only thing we still do that our founding fathers wanted us to do. But anyway, back to the matter is this. If we were to ask, are you a taxpayer or a tax eater? It might come to a 50-50 maybe. Because we've got so many tax eaters that we don't seem to have enough taxpayers to feed them all. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to be with you. If you just tuned in, you're saying, hey, where's Mark? Mark will be back tomorrow. And you can see him tonight on the Sean Hannity program on Fox News Channel. But I have the same phone number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. I wanted to make sure I reminded you about that telephone number. I don't know. I don't think you need me to tell you that America is in crisis. It's in a crisis of its own making. Not only are we realizing that our banking system and our core infrastructure are broken, and that our primary checks and balances, Congress, the media, are corrupt, but we are also coming to grips with the fact that we did not inherit our forefathers or even our fathers' intestinal fortitude. You don't like it? You don't like hearing that? In all likelihood, since you're fans of the Mark Levin Show, that proves you listen to this program. That sets you apart from millions and millions and millions of your fellow citizens who are too lazy, too ill-informed to care. And then, when the final clank of the handcuffs are heard, they'll say, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened to my freedoms? And make no mistake, this is so serious, and it appalls me to think of how few people realize the gravity of all of this. Because we're not just talking about bank failures. We're not talking about stock market going down. We're not talking about millions of jobs being lost. We're talking about a march which will inevitably lead to an authoritarian state. Because that's what socialism is. Socialism. We use the word because it's appropriate. Now, have you heard about Sweden? Sweden has been looked upon by members of the Obama regime as a shining example of the perfection of a socialist state. They are proud that at least 60% of their income goes to taxes. It's been held up as a model. And you know what? it will be held up as a different kind of model. A model of a Muslim European country. I kid you not. It turns out that Malmö, the third largest city in Sweden, has a considerable Muslim population. And that Muslim population has brought crime, has changed the atmosphere, has changed the look of that city. And one Swedish reporter had the courage to say that by 2049 it will be a Muslim country indeed. They will be the majority. And why do I talk about Sweden? Don't we have enough problems here? That's precisely why I talk about Sweden. Because as bad as we are, and we're bad, Sweden will show us, in all likelihood, what we will be tomorrow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the telephone number. Did I give you the telephone number? Yes, indeed, I did. It is 877-381-3811. And we're going to go in just a couple of minutes here to Rick in San Francisco, our first caller, straight ahead.
Mark Levin.
All right, I tell you what we'll do. We'll pick up the phones and let's hear from Rick in San Francisco. Rick, welcome to the Mark Levin program.
Yeah, thank you. I want to say, why isn't anybody mentioning about Pelosi on this AIG thing? After all, she wrote the bill up. So I'm sure she's connected to this thing some way. And another thing is, as Rush said, people shouldn't be getting mad at the people that are receiving the bonuses even though they don't deserve it. It goes back to Chris Dodd, as you were saying. You know, he basically approved this whole thing. So why are they putting death threats on these people? I mean, it's just not right.
Of course it's not right. As a matter of fact, there's been very little, if anything, that's been right since this new gang took over. As far as Nancy Pelosi is concerned, I can think of no politician more obnoxious, more repulsive, more revolting, more sickening, more phony than she is. What more can I tell you? Thank you very much, Rick. Let's go to Mary in Baltimore. Yes, hello, Mary.
Hi, how are you doing?
All right.
What type of punishment do we give these people for violating their oath of office?
One thing is they should lose whatever office they occupy. The voters should vote them out, but we know that if they've got a D after their name, they get away with an awful lot. But when you say violate their oath, in what way would you accuse anybody of violating the oath? Specifically or philosophically?
Well, as an Army officer, I took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. Our domestic enemies are leading right now, and they're abusing the Constitution, violating their oath.
You know, that's true. Philosophically, I agree with that 100%. You know what I don't understand? And our first caller, Rick, called from, of course, that's California, and not too far from where he's calling. There was a parolee let out, a convict, an enemy of society. And you know what he did? He pumped bullets in 4 police officers out in Oakland, California. And fortunately, he got the death sentence. The only way you get the death sentence is when a police is able to win a gun battle, but they didn't win. They lost 4 great police officers. Anyway, my point is this. Why, oh why, when a person serves notice on the rest of us that he is an enemy of society. Why do we turn him loose? Do you have any idea, Mary?
Because of liberalism. I think we ought to give the death penalty to anybody who deserves it.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Alex in Stony Brook. Yes, Alex, you go to Stony Brook University?
Yes, I do.
Are you one of those flaming liberals?
No, I'm probably one of five. I'm part of Stony Brook's vast right-wing conspiracy, just all five of us.
You must be very lonesome on campus.
I am, but that's actually why I'm calling. I wanted to give you a little ray of hope. So Mark was talking about fighting for the cause. My friends and I are going to have our own tea party out here to protest Barack Obama's spending spree.
And in what way? In what way are you going to demonstrate that you're engaging in a tea party?
Well, here's the thing. So the Lloyds, they're willing to tie themselves to a building and let a bulldozer go over them to save some kind of endangered animal. But every time now our country's being overtaken by liberals, and conservatives just stand there and scratch their head and be like, oh, it sucks, but I won't do anything about it. So,
well, you know, you're living dangerously because there's nothing more intolerant than a liberal, nothing more illiberal than a liberal. I think you've found that to be true.
For sure. But you know what, though, Mr. Grant? I really believe that most people my age don't object to conservative ideas because they know any better. It's because they just don't know that ours are the right ones. They just become liberals by default. They just don't know that what they're agreeing to. So I want to show them why it's important to keep our liberty, why it's important to keep our money, and why we have to stand up to the kinds of things that Barack Obama and his friends want to do.
All right. Mark would be proud to know that you're listening. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Grant sitting in for Mark. And, of course, he'll be back tomorrow. The telephone number, ladies and gentlemen, 877-381-3811. All right, ladies and gentlemen, forging ahead here together on the Mark Levin Show. Coast to coast, border to border, Bob Grant sitting in, and happy to be with you. By the way, I want to remind you, you can join Mark this Saturday at 11 a.m. at Tyson's Corner Mall in Vienna, Virginia, where he'll be signing copies of his new book, Liberty and Tyranny, A Conservative Manifesto. And I want to tell you, I read David Limbaugh's review of this book, and what it amounts to is a must-read. A must-read. This is not something that you would casually pick up and glance through. This is riveting reading, important reading. Liberty and Tyranny, A Conservative Manifesto. That's, don't forget that phone number, 877-381-3811, and let's get back to our telephones and say hello to, how about Matt from New York City? Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Hi, I'm a first-time listener to your station, and I'm happy I turned in at this time, calling this number up, and I'm glad to hear your voice. I'm pretty sure you're glad to hear mine, as a good, I guess I'm a good guy to listen when. I'm a little nervous talking to you because I never talked on live radio before. But my point is, I live in New York State, and it's too expensive to live here. I mean, I only lived here for about 2 years, and right now I'm up to the point where I'm living in my car. I used to live in an apartment, and things got too out of hand. And I have like a couple bachelor degrees, and I've been bouncing around with this job I have, and it's really hard on a lot of people. And I ate at a restaurant today. I'm overhearing people more and more talking about the economy, talking about AIG, talking about greed. And all these people, it's like everybody's mentality has got in the gutter. Everybody's not really happy anymore. Everybody's angry, and I see it all around me. People, they're on their last dollar. And if not, they're up to their eyeballs in debt. All right,
look, hang on a second, Matt. You said everybody's angry. I know you don't want to speak for everybody else, so just speak for yourself here. What makes you angry?
Well, what makes me angry is seeing all these good people in New York State suffering. It's like our government, they don't train us the right things in school. You know, they train us history and science and math.
I mean specifically day in, day out. You said you're living in your car?
Well, I started doing it because I figure I save some money every month to pay my bills, because my bills are just growing. You know, I mean, I got a pay cut at my job, and it looks like by the time I age, I ain't going to have a pension.
All right, you mentioned a job. Are you working?
Oh, yeah, I work full-time, but I'm going to gain some leverage on the money I make every month, because I do have parents that live about an hour and a half away, and I could go there, you know, every once in a while.
How old are you?
I'm 28 years old.
You sound like you're single, are you?
Oh, no, I have a fiance, but she lives 5 hours away because I had to bounce around with my job. So I have a place in Buffalo on the other side of the state, and I figure, you know, I save some money, you know, put money up in the house I have in Buffalo, and try to, because my job, they bounce me around. I mean, that's the way it is.
Hey, Matt, do me a favor. If someone asks me tomorrow, hey, Bob, I heard you're filling in for the great Mark Levin, but this guy Matt, who called you at about 7:35 in the evening, what was he talking about? What was his beef? What should I tell them?
The hardships of this recession. You know, I'm just telling you how hard it is for people in New York State to live. I'm just an example. I want everybody to know that listens to you right now how hard it is to live in this economy today. Because people like me have family and loved ones so far away, and they're down here.
So far away. They're so far away. Well, why did you move far away from them?
Because I could not make $8 an hour at a McDonald's or Tim Hortons up there, whatever you call it. I can't be pouring coffee and making hamburgers because...
did you vote in the last election? Did you vote on November 4th?
I voted for Ron Paul.
Okay. At least you didn't vote for the guy that is in the White House now. So we can't hold that against you. All right, Matt, thank you very much. Good luck. And if you're sleeping in your car, lock the doors. Hey, let's go down to Northern Virginia, sir, and say hello to Steve. Yes, Steve.
Hi, Bob. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for making it.
Okay, I was going to ask about Timothy Geithner. He's our Treasury Secretary. Is his signature going to be put on all our money, isn't it?
Eventually, but I don't think he'll be in office that long.
Well, it'd be the most reproduced signature in human history, I believe.
No, this guy is really ineffective. He's a real loser, but why am I not surprised? Look who appointed him.
Well, you got to have some gallows humor, according to our president.
Yeah, isn't he something? He realizes he's not really equipped to be a chief executive, so he's warming up for a nighttime talk show host.
Yeah, well, when blaming Bush gets old, that's when people are going to start turning on him. I wanted to make one quick point, Bob. I know you're busy, but I've got a property that's located, it's a waterfront property that's commercial, and we cater to people who are looking for vacations and stuff. And the local properties all around there seem to be very young, retired government people who don't have a lot of responsibility. But the reason I'm bringing this up, it reminds me of when Gorbachev was kidnapped, so to speak. He was at his dacha, and he had suits that fit and cars and things of that nature, and the regular folk got by as best they could. And I really feel that there's a culture of people who work for the government that have got it quite a bit better than the rest of us.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's one of the cornerstones of socialism, that more and more people are working for the government, and statistics reveal that what you are pointing out is substantiated by the facts. Thank you very much. I appreciate the call. All right, let's move over to, how about, Bob from Westchester, maybe? Bob, are you there? All right, I don't think Bob's there. Let's try Steve. Steve, are you there? Jimmy from Brooklyn. Oh, my heavens, Jimmy. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Grant. Boy, I love hearing you again. The hard left is highly organized. Obama didn't win because he had good organizational skills or a good campaign. He's like the surfer riding on the perfect wave. The perfect wave was 80 or 100 years in the making by the Marxists in America. This is a very, very scary situation for this country, Mr. Grant, as I know you know. We've talked about it over the years. And by the way, David Horowitz the other day on the radio has a new book out called One Party Classroom, and he talks about the communist plan to use the schools to change this country, and he even mentions Antonio Gramsci's strategy, that the communists are using Gramsci's strategy to penetrate the schools, the religions, and the media to change our culture. Mr. Grant, this is what we've talked about on your show for 20 years. Everything is coming true.
It is. Unfortunately, it's no longer theory. It's no longer hypothesis. Unfortunately, it's happening right before our very eyes. Thank you very much, Jimmy from Brooklyn. Okay, how about, who do we have? Abby from Brooklyn? Is Abby there?
Mr. Grant, it's so nice to hear your voice again. We truly
thank
miss
you, Abby.
here in
Nice
Brooklyn.
to be here.
We really miss you. You know, our father always said to me, anybody that doesn't know about history will tend to repeat it. We are now in the throes of this repetition, and we have to start now to get this idiot out.
Wait a minute. Stop right there. Listen to yourself. We have to figure out how to get those idiots out. What did we do in November? Did we have an election?
Well, you're absolutely right. I totally agree.
So, this is still supposedly a nation of laws, not men. We're supposed to go according to the Constitution. So maybe we can make a step in the right direction in 2010 and change the Congress.
I hope so.
That's got to be done.
This is we're on the edge here of something so insidious that I don't even know what to say. I mean, the fact that I hear a voice, I know there's a voice of reason out there, but all I have to say, Mr. Grant, is modus vivendi. We have to go forward. We have to make better choices.
All right, I like that. Yeah, we have to go forward. Everybody wants to go forward. No one says we have to go backward. Maybe we should go backward, though, in a sense.
Well,
when it comes to how we bring up our children.
Well,
this is all. Look, folks, I don't want to be a guy that just sits in front of the microphone and tells you how terrible things are. I would hope that you know yourself how terrible they are. But what about the prescription for the illness we have? Political sickness. It requires what all sicknesses require, and that is a formula for healing. And the formula for healing, first and foremost, in my opinion, is to get yourself educated. Educated. There are books like, hey, listen, I got to tell you, the book that Mark Levin has authored. Now, that's a great start. Just the title itself, Liberty and Tyranny. Liberty and Tyranny, a conservative manifesto. What is the opposite of liberty? Tyranny. What's the opposite of tyranny? Liberty. I mean, the two don't go hand in hand. And when I hear people say, well, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, look, we're just talking here, but what are you going to do when it's election time? This lady that just was on the air, Abby, I believe, she's in New York State. New York State is one of those one-party states. New Jersey's another one. Massachusetts is another one. Vermont is another one. We're getting more. I want to know. I want to know, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know, how is it that people talk, as we are talking here on the Mark Levin program, and yet there are more states turning blue who were red, or at least who were purple, or a combination. They're turning blue. I live in a one-party state. State of New Jersey. It's a one-party state. Democrats get away with all sorts of things. It's amazing. Really, it just knocks me out. No matter what a person will do, if he's a politician, chances are he'll get away with it because he's got a D for Democrat after his name. And the politicians in New Jersey know that they get away with a lot if they have a D at the end of their name. And a one-party state is really the enemy of the people. That's my view. What's yours? Straight ahead.
Mark Levin. Right side of reality.
Cooperate voluntarily. If you do, I give you my word that you will not be harmed in any way.
Mark Levin is on the radio.
All right, picking up that telephone again. It's a busy time here with Joe from New York. Hello, Joe, on the Mark Levin Show.
Hello, how you doing?
All right.
Hey, I'm calling just to give you a little information about why what is going on in Washington is going on in Washington. I live out here in the Hamptons, out in East Hampton Township. This has been labeled as one of the most corrupt towns in the country. And I've got to tell you, a lot of the corrupt politicians that live in Washington, a lot of the corrupt Democrats, they actually vacation out here, they live out here, and they're basically, I think, following the steps of the local town. They've taken conservatism and flushed it down the toilet. They've taken environmentalism and put it on a throne, where nothing else matters except for what they want to do. They've shut down town board meetings to the local public when you're speaking about something that they don't want to hear. They've actually walked out and closed down a town board meeting on myself in 2005. I left the building.
Well, wait a minute. Were you there as a citizen?
I was there as a citizen speaking at the podium, and the supervisor, because he did not like what I was saying, actually walked out of the town board, took all the town board members with him, and walked out of the building.
Were you in violation of any of their rules?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I was speaking about an unjust. They were making a law against one individual, which happened to be a Republican, that would just affect him and his job. You see, he was working at two different levels of government, but they actually made a law, or they were making a law, and I believe by them walking out of the room and causing a lot of bad media attention, the law didn't go through. They didn't even attempt to push it through. But the corruption out here could be documented if you just look up, East Hampton Town, just punch up keywords about corruption, and you'll see that this is what's going on in the country.
Sounds bad, but then again, we don't know what actually happened in that meeting. But I'll tell you what's happening here, the Mark Levin Show on... And we're continuing here on the Mark Levin Show on our way to Detroit via telephone, of course, to say hello to Greg. Hello, Greg.
How's it going, brother? I just have one quick point to make. I'm from Michigan. These people that have voted for Obama and these liberal Democrats, you want to see what the taxing businesses, small businesses and people are like. We have our unemployment rate is 12%. Our Democratic governor has been taxing the businesses every year. She raises the tax on them, has driven businesses out. I've got friends of mine that have worked in the automotive industry and factories for 10, 12 years. They're all laid off right now. Why? Because, these places, they don't want to do business where they're going to be taxed to death. And that's exactly what these people have voted into office.
Listen, you are talking about the tax structure, and of course you're talking about your state of Michigan. What do you think of all these automobile companies? They happen to have been foreign companies who had a choice of where to establish their factory, whether it was the Honda people, whether it was even Saturn, for heaven's sake, which is a subsidiary of GM. They didn't want to be in Michigan because of the taxes. They wanted to go south. They wanted to go to places like the Carolinas, wanted to go to Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee. Why do you suppose that is? My answer is I think it has to do with the fact that these are right-to-work states.
That is right. The unions up there have corrupted the automotive industry. That's the biggest problem with GM, Ford, and Chrysler. You know, these workers, they want more and more and more for nothing. You know, it's a whole entitlement deal. You know, they want $30 an hour, but they want top-notch benefits, you know, to stand on an assembly line. And it's disgusting. It really is. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and thank God I'm moving my family out of there in a month.
Well, I'm sure the UAW is going to miss you.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't miss them. All right. I thank you. Thank you very much for your call. We've got a lot of spirited people speaking out, and that's really what it's all about. But what do we do as far as mobilizing and make our feelings known, make our wishes known? It's one thing to talk, it's another thing to get out there and do the right thing. And of course, I'm talking about voting, because a lot of people make a mistake. They either say, man, I'm not going to vote.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
All right, I thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, Mark Levin not here, but guess what? You can see him at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with our great buddy Sean Hannity. It's on the Fox News Channel at 9 p.m. And don't forget to join Mark this Saturday at 11 a.m. at Tyson's Corner Mall in Vienna, Virginia, where he'll be signing copies of his new book, Liberty and Tyranny, a Conservative Manifesto. And by the way, you want to check that out on the computer. Just go to www.marklevinshow.com for more information. And by the way, that book, Liberty and Tyranny, a Conservative Manifesto, I say it is must reading. Must reading. As a matter of fact, in one commentary on a review of this great book, David Limbaugh, who wrote the critique, said that not since Barry Goldwater's Conscience of a Conservative have we seen such a book. Now, if that doesn't signify that's must reading, I don't know what does. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, it's all well and good for us to get together on this great radio program, border to border, coast to coast, bringing in Americans from various parts of the nation, exchanging ideas, venting our opinions. That's great. But when we're in the trenches, what happens? I was writing with a gentleman early this morning, a very open-minded, very rare individual, because he truly has an open mind. He's not doctrinaire. He's not really too much into politics. But he's an American citizen who has worked hard, who has raised a family, and who still believes in what this country was originally meant to be. And in talking in the automobile, he was driving along, and he said a couple of things and indicated that he wanted to blame George Bush for a couple of things. And he mentioned Iraq. And I said, well, look, you you're a very open-minded guy. You're a guy that certainly has a great outlook. But don't you remember how everybody was talking about Saddam Hussein? Saddam Hussein had to go. And there were very few people who thought otherwise. As a matter of fact, there were quite a few people who thought otherwise, but there were many more who agreed with George W. Bush. How do I know that? Members of the United States Senate, they voted overwhelmingly to authorize the invasion of Iraq. Now, I don't want to dredge that up so that we spend the rest of the evening talking about it, but I do mention it because we forget. We have short memories. But if we can go back to that time, our frame of mind, Saddam Hussein had to go. We talked about regime change. It went on and on. Talk about the fact that he was firing at American planes, that he was going in the no-fly zone. Do you remember that? And then he had every opportunity, I'm talking about Saddam, he had every opportunity in the world to prove beyond any shadow of a doubt he did not have weapons of mass destruction and was not making them, by opening up, truly opening up his country. Instead, he didn't. He was playing a game. He was playing a game to keep us biting our fingernails. He was enjoying it. He was enjoying his glory. And so we finally went in there. And then, of course, the Iraqi army faded into nothing, just melted away. And it was all too easy. And Rumsfeld had the wrong idea. He thought that the fewer people we had there, the better. And years later, the surge. Remember the surge? The surge worked. The surge worked. And I bring this up only to remind many of us that we have short memories. And we're going to have short memories about what's going on right now. And we mustn't. Now, as far as this business with AIG has been around for a long time and became so big, so huge, that it became an international catastrophe. And these guys that didn't have the sense not to have those bonuses, now they say they're going to give those bonuses up because they're getting scared. And the point I've been leading up to is this. The American people went up there to Connecticut where their headquarters is, and they had the names of the people, and the people got scared. Now, I don't like that idea. I don't think it should have come to that. I don't think it had to come to that. But as long as you have duplicitous individuals in the United States Senate, as long as there are people like, how about Senator Dodd? How about Barney Frank? People who apparently knew that these bonuses were going to be paid. It was part of the deal. And so, the American people got roused up, but they're going to forget. They're going to forget. And, we have forgotten perhaps the greatest advice given to us by the father of our country. First in war, first in peace, first in the hearts of his countrymen, George Washington. In his farewell address. Now remember, he gave his farewell address because after 2 terms he wanted to go home, he wanted to get out of office, He felt that this was supposed to be a citizen government. But before he left, he said, beware of foreign entanglements. And it seems as though every time we get involved in a foreign entanglement, it damages our country in many, many ways. I still would like someone to give me a reason we went to war in 1917. I mean, a valid reason for having done that. We could go down a whole list of events in which we probably would have been better off if we had stayed on our shores. And if we did not stay on our shores, we had to have a good reason for doing that. But I suppose it's too late. Too late now. We've already extended ourselves much too much. And by the way, I was ashamed, not that I was ever proud, but I was ashamed of Barack Obama when he wrote that mealy-mouthed letter to Iran. What did he think? The Iranians were going to say, hey, America's okay. This new guy's okay. He's different. Yeah, he's different, all right. But being different doesn't mean he's okay. The Mark Levin Show, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Grant happily sitting in for Mark. And I want to remind you the telephone number is 877-381-3811. Straight ahead.
Mark Levin.
All right, let's go down to the volunteer state, Tennessee, and say hello to Chris. Chris, you're on the Mark Levin Show.
Hey, Bob. Pleasure to speak with you. Hey, listen, I wanted to talk about the fact that in the wake of all this Obama porculus and all this stuff, we need to be presenting alternative ideas and as citizens and being active. One of those that I know of that I haven't heard a whole lot about these last couple of months is the fair tax. And, it would really do a lot, I think, to stimulate our economy in a lasting way. And I'm not hearing much about that. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I've been a proponent of the fair tax for many, many years. And I do agree that it would be a true stimulus, an honest stimulus, not a phony stimulus. And it would do what the name implies. It would bring fairness to the taxation program. But it will never happen. And I'll tell you why. Because the have-nots, or the people who think they're have-nots, have been suckered into this class warfare deal, which the Democrats constantly play. And they keep telling the people, oh, it'll only help the rich, it'll only help the... as though if it helps the rich, it's bad for us. Well, wait a minute. Do we believe in our capitalist system? Do we believe in free enterprise? Do we believe in liberty? If we do, then we should have no problem with somebody making more money than we do. And the fair tax is all about, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering, it's a consumption tax. It's not this stupid income tax. It's not this stupid thing where you're filling out papers and spending all kinds of money to try to figure out what you owe. You just pay a consumption tax. And, I'll tell you who was for it, Mike Huckabee. But naturally the Democrats said, that's for the rich. It doesn't give the rich the breaks. It gives everybody the breaks. But we'll never get it, so we might as well save our breath. Thank you very much. I appreciate the call. Yeah, we'll never get it because the Democrats have fooled enough people. All right, here we go. Alex from Vermont, one of those one-party states. Yes, Alex.
Yeah, Bob, I just wanted to reiterate a little bit of your last caller, except for maybe a different angle. I'm hearing a lot of hate from the right. I'm hearing a lot of anger from the right, but I'm not hearing any solutions. I'm not hearing any ideas. It's all about hate. and that's the reason that Republicans are going to go on losing and never win another large election.
I mean, you attribute any opposition, anybody who denounces what you stand for, that's hate. But if you denounce something they stand for, that's just intelligent, intellectual opposition?
Well, with the characterizations I've been hearing today, Bob, as a liberal Democrat, I can only characterize it as hate, and that's what I'm hearing.
You characterize it any way you want, but the fact is that this administration, when Obama was campaigning, we got nothing but a lot of smoke and mirrors. We got cool. People said, "Oh, he's so cool." Well, what makes him cool? He's quiet. That's true. What else? Oh, he applauds the audience. Gee, we never had a politician applauding the audience. My gosh, I got to vote for that guy. He's cool. Didn't make any sense. Anyway, you're stuck with this guy Leahy, who has got to be one of the most revolting individuals in the United States Senate. But I do appreciate your call on behalf of Mark Levin. All right, let's say hello to John in Michigan, I guess. Yeah, John.
Hello. Yeah, my point was, I did my part to go to a rally in Kalamazoo, Michigan. 17 people showed up, hundreds and hundreds of horns beeped. But my point is that what is it going to take for people to actually show up to these tea parties and actually take back their country if they truly want it? I just was frustrated to see that nobody showed up to these things, and I feel that is what is needed rather than horn beeps.
Well, that's why Michigan has become a one-party state. Apparently, that's just one of many one-party states, and it really alarms me because it goes against what I've always believed. Now, maybe I've been naive to think, oh, it's a great system, two parties slugging it out, giving their ideas, giving their programs, and majority rules. And if the majority wants this party, well, they'll get this party. And if this party doesn't do a good job, they'll get voted out. Anyway, I'm glad that you were there at that tea party. John, thank you very much. All right, this is Bob Grant here, sitting in for Mark Levin. And, of course, Mark will be back right where you want him. That's right here tomorrow. Bob Grant sitting in for Mark Levin. And don't forget, Saturday in Vienna, Virginia, at 11 a.m. at Tyson's Corner, the Tyson's Corner Mall in Vienna, Virginia. Mark is going to be signing copies of his new book, Liberty and Tyranny, a conservative manifesto. I hope he brings plenty of books with him because I know you're going to want one. And don't forget to watch Mark on Hannity tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Fox News Channel. Let's pick up the telephone and take a call right here, right now. It's Dominic from New Jersey. Hello, Dominic.
Thank you for taking my call. Bob, in the military, the universal sign of distress is flying the flag upside down. I propose that every conservative and person in this country with common sense from this night forward fly their flags upside down until Obama, Reid, and Pelosi and this left-wing socialist lunatics are all out of this system and out of this country. Thank you very much.
Out of this country. Well, I don't think that's going to cause them to leave this country. But it's interesting what this gentleman says. Now stop and think about it. He feels so distressed by virtue of the fact that we have this administration and this Congress taking us on a far left course, that he wants to fly the flag upside down because that does signal distress. And he says we'll continue doing it until they're out of office and out of this country. Well, it might feel good, but it's really not going to prove anything. And first of all, whether you like to hear this or not, I don't see this administration having any problem staying in for sure until 2012, and probably till 2016. Remember, I'm a pessimist at heart, so don't get mad at me. But I'm picking back to a caller we had a little while ago, a gentleman from Vermont by the name of Alex. And Alex apparently feels that all of those who are on the right, whenever they speak with hatred. And the reason that disturbed me a little bit is because I have the same feeling about those on the left. Do you read blogs? Do you go to any of these, Salon, Media Matters, Huffington Post? There's so many of them. Daily Cause. And you read these left-wing bloggers. They are just absolutely venomous. Now, maybe someone might think that anybody blogging from the right is absolutely venomous. But I don't see it that way. You want to tell me I'm wrong? You want to tell me I'm right? You want to tell me anything? That's all right. You got a phone number here for you. It's 877-381-3811. And I'm picking up the telephone, and I'm saying hello to Joan, checking in right now from Long Island. Hello, Joan.
Hi, Bob. Thank you for taking my call. A couple of things I wanted to mention. I was at that book signing in Huntington on Saturday, and it was so gratifying, the conversation that was surrounding everybody. It felt so good to know there were so many people that thought the same way that I do, because if you look at mainstream media, it's like all Obama all the time on every channel. He's more of an entertainer than a president. I never knew any president to be so in your face on the TV every day. And I was a little disgusted that we got no media coverage except for what we hear on WABC radio. Nobody touched the story. There was a big turnout. Nobody, you would never know it if you picked up the Long Island paper, the Newsday, or even News Channel 12, the local news station. Didn't say, hey, there were 6,000 people that turned out in Huntington on Saturday for a book signing.
And the book signing, of course, was?
It was Liberty and Tyranny, of course.
Well, I wanted you to mention it, and you didn't mention it, everything but. Look, outside of Pete King, outside of Congressman Peter King of the 3rd Congressional District out there,
God bless him,
you've got all lefties. You've got all lefties. I remember not too many years ago, you had Republican. Nassau County was Republican. Suffolk County was Republican.
Yeah, well,
not
Peter
anymore.
King is he's the one bright light that we have, and try to support him as much as we can. But, you were mentioning earlier about all the states that are solid blue. I'm wondering how much Acorn has to do with that, because I really believe that there was more of a Republican turnout than you would know, except Acorn got infiltrated, and it really disturbs me that Acorn is going to be involved in the census in 2010.
Yeah, I don't know what business they have being involved in 2010. I tell you this about Acorn. I suspect that it's some of their skullduggery that has helped this abomination known as Al Franken in the state of Minnesota.
It's all about fraudulent votes. I mean, let's get as many fraudulent votes in there and minimize the legitimate voters that there are.
All right, thank you very much, Joan. Calling from Long Island, which has changed drastically in the last 20 years. Here's Donna in, I tell you what, Donna in...
Hello, Bob. It's like old times. It's so good to speak to you again.
You're in Manasquan. I love to say Manasquan.
It's a great town, and it's a great part of New Jersey. And I wanted to tell you, as a fellow New Jerseyan, that we are blessed to have a very courageous leader running for governor in the next election. And in a national level, I want to say we have to use every election coming our way as an opportunity to vote conservative, because on the governor's level...
Wait a minute. You say vote conservative. You mean there's a conservative party in New Jersey?
Yes, I'm fully behind Steve Lonigan.
Wait a minute. The party's name. What is it? What is the party's name?
Republican.
Well, why is it so many of you Republicans shy away from saying Republican?
Oh, I was just trying to distinguish conservative Republicans from moderate Republicans.
Well, listen, you want to be a split party? Then the Democrats will roll on to victory after victory after victory. See, this is a great problem. This is something that really riles me about my fellow Republicans, that they're constantly doing this. And the intelligent approach is whether Steve Lonigan wins or whether Chris Christie wins, that's your candidate, and you better get out there and support him. I don't think you want John Corzine, do you?
Oh no, of course not. But we have to be informed as voters and to distinguish and go for the strongest candidate, those that will have real solutions to what is going on in the state of New Jersey.
Well, what about which candidate has the best chance of winning? Doesn't that count?
I believe Steve Lonigan has the strongest message and the strongest ideas, and in the primary...
That isn't what I asked. I know about his message. I like his message, and I participated in one of his great seminars not too long ago, as did Mark Levin, who gave a great speech, by the way. But anyway, I want to ask you, who is the most electable is the question you should ask. I'm not saying Steve is the most electable. I'm not saying Chris Christie is. But that's the candidate you should pick. The Democrats usually wind up doing that, and maybe that's one of the reasons they keep winning. What do you think?
No, I believe it's substance. And I believe that if people investigate what these men stand for, that Steve Lonigan has real solutions to economic problems, taxation, overreaching government.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, you see, this lady is sincere. She's a good citizen, good person. But she goes back to making a speech on why Lonigan is the better candidate. That's fine in primaries. But then what happens in the general election? That's what counts. But anyway, things aren't going to change. Things aren't going to change. When a Republican woman says they've got to vote conservative, and I say, well, where does it say conservative on the ballot? It'll say Democrat, it'll say Republican, it might say Independent, it might say Green Party, something like that. But it doesn't say Conservative Party. And that's why the Democrats have it so easy. That's my opinion. What's yours? Straight ahead.
Mark Levin.
Called him names Moses.
All right, I think we've got time for at least one more caller here on the Mark Levin Show. Let's go down to Birmingham, Alabama. Say hello to Derek. Hello, Derek.
Hey, sir. How are you doing this evening?
What's on your mind, sir?
I wanted to say you're right on with the definition of liberty, and I do think our liberty has been stolen through financial means. And I wanted to give you a quote from Thomas Jefferson. He said, "The question whether one generation has the right to bind another by the deficit it imposes is a question of such consequence as to place it among the fundamental principles of government. We should consider ourselves unauthorized to saddle posterity with our debts and morally bound to pay them ourselves." Thomas Jefferson.
You know, that's amazing. He said that so long ago, and yet it's so timely today. Thank you, Derek. What an appropriate quotation to conclude this edition of the Mark Levin Show. It's easy to pick a great quotation when you choose someone like Thomas Jefferson or John Adams, James Madison, any of our founding fathers, but certainly Thomas Jefferson yields to no one when it comes to being able to forge the language that is so powerful, so meaningful, and yet makes me sad. It makes me sad because so many things he said have come to pass. He warned that if we are not an educated public, if we are not an alert public, we will forfeit the freedom that the Founding Fathers gave their very lives to provide. Oh, there are so many rich statements made. And yet, do school children learn them? What do school children learn? I mean, outside of things that are really not good for them. Anyway, I want to thank Mark Levin for asking me to fill in. I certainly enjoyed it. Mark will be back tomorrow. Until then, straight ahead.